Hey everyone, thanks for stopping by today. I am so excited to do this Draw My Life video. Because this is a bookish channel, I thought I would do a little twist on this type of video and talk about how I got into reading, how I got into BookTube, and some of the struggles that I've had across the way in these 30 years of my life. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's just jump right into it. Like most people, my reading journey really started in first grade. I remember before that, when I was probably in preschool, my cousin, who was a year or two older than me, was reading on the couch one day to her dad, and I was just so jealous, and I was like, I want to be able to do that. And so when we got to first grade and we started learning how to read, I was so excited. Here's my little shout out to Rainbow Fish. Did anyone else read this when they were younger? As I said, I was so excited to start reading, but unfortunately, things weren't as easy as I thought they were going to be. It seemed like everyone else understood how to read so quickly, but for me it just came a little bit harder, and that was just very upsetting as a child. This next part that I'm about to show you is actually part of the reason that I went to college to become a teacher. It was the last day of school, the last day of first grade, and all I wanted to do was go out and play in the sun and get my summer started. But I have this vivid memory of my first grade teacher handing a stack of books to my mom and saying, here, read this with her over the summer and really help her learn how to read. You know, she's almost quite there. I think she can go to second grade, but you just got to practice with her over the summer. And honestly, it worked. And I just feel so thankful for this teacher that she took that extra step. She could have easily run out the doors when the bell rang and summer started, but she took that extra step to make sure that when I got to second grade, I wouldn't be behind everybody. So now reading was actually kind of fun, but there was still times when I still felt like I was behind, and that didn't really stop me. But looking back, I'm like, you know what? I didn't really understand what I was reading some of the time. I think I was trying to read too advanced for my age. And this is gonna be the perfect example, but you're all gonna be like, yeah, I did this too. I used to have sleepovers with my cousin all the time because we were so close in age. And so we would pull out the pull-out couch and we would put all these pillows and blankets, and one day my cousin hands me this book and I'm like, what is this? And of course it happened to be Harry Potter. She was already on the second book, so she wanted me to start reading the first book so that we could join this new fandom together. A lot of people, their parents would read them bedtime stories and they'd fall asleep peacefully and, you know, whatever. Not for me. I had to get my practice in. So I would actually read bedtime stories to my mom, and she would just fall asleep because she said I had such a great voice, but I was just like, how are you falling asleep while I'm reading Harry Potter? Hashtag how rude. A troll is literally in the dungeon and you don't care. Remember, she even tried to tell me that Hermione was pronounced Hermione, not Hermione, and I was like, no, this girl's name is Hermione and you can't convince me otherwise. So as the years went on, I just started to really get into reading, and I really enjoyed it. And I remember specifically the elementary school library that I had. It was in such a weird time in history where we still had the Dewey Decimal System, but we also had computers coming out. You know, a lot of the times when we were in the library, we had to be in the back where they had the new computers, and we had to take classes on how to type and how to, you know, use the computer. And I remember just being like, I just want to sit in the shelves and read. They had these really short bookshelves, and I would just sit in the ground, pick out one of those choose your own adventure books, and I would just go to town reading. Now looking back on it, I think that's where I first fell in love with the idea of writing, because reading those choose your own adventure books was kind of like writing. You're deciding where the characters are gonna go, what they're gonna do. And I loved those books so much. I wish they made them for adults. As I got older though, I joined a competitive dance team, and so a lot of my time was taken up by that. And I hate to say it, but my reading kind of fell to the wayside. I think a lot of us have somebody in our life that really just made a difference and they don't even know it. And for me, that person is my sister. She let me borrow her copy of This Lullaby by Sarah Dessen, and I fell in love with reading again when I read that. I was so obsessed with it, and she ended up buying me the new Sarah Dessen book every year that it came out pretty much. She also let me borrow all of her books if I wanted, and was just really supportive of me reading. You know, I don't think I ever really told her, but I can't thank her enough, because her just handing me those books really, really sparked my fire for my love of reading. And that sentence didn't make any sense, but we're just gonna leave it because it sounded like a nice metaphor. Towards the end of high school, I was still dancing all the time, but I also got a job at a local restaurant waitressing. And so a lot of my time was full with those things and didn't leave a lot of room for reading. When I got to college, I decided to still work at a restaurant. I was in a sorority, in a few clubs, and I had 2 majors and a minor. So I really didn't have a lot of time for reading. On top of that, I also thought that, okay, I'm an adult now, I have to read adult books only. But the thing was, I was bored with a capital B. Again, another angel came into my life, and she pushed a book on me that changed the trajectory of my reading life. That person was my big sister in the sorority. We were about to go on this sorority bonding trip where we went to this campsite and we did like trust activities and bonfires and all this stuff. We had a really long bus ride ahead of us. My big sister gifted me this book a few days before this trip, so I was like, you know what, I'll bring this on the bus. It was a young adult book, which I thought, I don't know if I should be reading this because I'm technically an adult now. But I thought, you know what, I'll read it because my big sister gave it to me. And that book was Twilight. I remember reading the first few pages on the way to the campsite and being like, what the hell is this? I'm not reading this. This isn't that great. But then on the way back from the campsite, I gave it another try and I ended up flying through it. I was like halfway done with it by the time I got back. Now I was really reading whatever the hell I wanted. I realized that I didn't have to read adult books because honestly, who cared? I could read whatever I wanted, whatever made me happy. As I mentioned in the beginning, I ended up getting my degree in teaching. So after college, I was really trying to find a job as a teacher. I wasn't prepared for how hard it would be to find a teaching job, but I also really wasn't prepared for how much I wouldn't enjoy it. I did a lot of substitute teaching and I did have my student teaching experience and it wasn't for me. Kind of like how I thought I had to read adult books, I thought I had to be a teacher. That's what I got my degree in and that's what I thought I had to do. I was pretty unhappy and I had a lot of stress. And I honestly think that stress really contributed to what happened next. 2012, I got really sick all of a sudden. I was working in an office, I was really enjoying the office environment and my new job, and all of a sudden I just got really sick every day. I was throwing up, I couldn't keep any food down, and I was like, what the heck is going on? Ended up going to a doctor, and they had suspicions of what it might be, but they had to do a bunch of tests before they could confirm it. What happened next was 8 months of trying to get a diagnosis, and in that time being just really sick, not being able to really eat anything, and just throwing up every day. Eventually I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease, and we knew that I had a little bit of a blockage in my intestines, which was what was stopping the food, but we couldn't really do anything yet until we tried all these different medicines and procedures. So in that time I was kind of stuck at home and there was only so many things for me to watch on TV. At that point we didn't have Netflix, so it was like you were either going to watch what was on TV or you're going to possibly watch Amazon Prime if there was something good on there, but there really weren't that many options. And I turned to reading. The problem was I wanted somebody to talk about the books that I was reading. Nobody in my real life really read. So I turned to the internet and I found out that people had things called book blogs. I thought, you know what, I'm going to start a book blog. So I called it Harley Bear Book Blog, named after my dog's brother, Harley. My dog's brother? No, that's not right. Named after my brother's dog, Harley. There you go. I mostly reviewed books on this blog, but I made so many friends in the blogging community and I had a blast. Then in 2013, my life changed again. Because I was homesick, I was doing a Bout of Books readathon and there was a Twitter chat going on. So I jumped online and I ended up meeting these other women who also wanted to create a BookTube channel. BookTube was just really starting to take off and I thought, you know what, I look like crap, I'm like half dying, but I'm gonna just start making videos with these women because I think it'll be fun to do. And so Angela, Lindsay, Ree, and Melina and I, we started this channel, which is why the URL is still Book BFF, because that's what this channel originally was called. We were the Book BFFs. We just had so much fun reading and just talking to each other about books. But as time went on, everyone really got busy and it kind of was just me and Lindsay making videos for a little bit of time. If you don't know, I'm in the USA, Lindsay is in Canada, and we've actually never met in real life. Since that Twitter chat, we've talked almost every day of our lives, and I consider her one of my closest friends. That's really it. Now I'm kind of just making BookTube videos, doing my thing, and just enjoying life. Really interested about your reading life, and especially if you're on BookTube, how did you get into BookTube? How did you get into reading? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you guys in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.